Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Hearthstone 4 Kalterkrieg. Kalterkrieg, not Kalterkrieg. It's Canada. Let us continue on from where we last left off. So we've had our great flag debate, and very soon we should get our new flag. The lovely red-blue tri-leaf. I like the flag. Is it better than the current Canadian flag? I'm not too sure about that. I mean, the current one's pretty iconic. A new alliance for a new world. A new discussion is starting to arise among the nations of the Entente. With their homelands now, mostly, reclaimed, many are starting to wonder about the future of the alliance. Since it has served its purpose, should the members still really be required to fight alongside each other? Many important leaders agree, from the President of New England to the Prime Minister of Canada to many high-ranking French ministers, that the Entente has served its purpose. However, they are not calling for the end of the Entente, but a re-innovation of the alliance for a new age, and a court of nations who will pledge to defend liberty and each other. No longer will the free nations of the world rely on the pact of the early 20th century. An accord will defend them. So we still haven't changed our name. Now, presumably, ratify the accord is when we're, that's when the Entente's going to change names. We're going to get the joint mandate of Canada. Stability is going to go up. War support's going to go up. All things that I am happy to see. And we need to start crown negotiations before we can do a new era. But anything regarding the military we can do just by ratifying the accord. But I think we do want to get the crown negotiations done. We do want a new era. You know, from sea to sea, we get to enable dockyards. 100 political power. I mean, why would I say no to that? The suburbs. People love the suburbs, notoriously. Revolution in Argentina. Okay. Now, again, that should be... They're going to go for the council. Presumably, I don't think Argentina has much choice right now for which way the winds will shift. So, presumably, no matter what happens, they're going to be pro-Germany, which is sad, but not much we can really do about that. I mean, we got Brazil. I mean, Brazil right now is not actually pro-accord, but I believe they will be in due time. Diplomatic shift, ventures in Britain. I think we just go, straight to crown negotiations. Montgomery addresses Parliament. Today, famed second Kalterkrieg Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery returned to Canada for a Liberation Day celebration in Ottawa after successfully overseeing the transition of power from the Canadian Army to the newly formed British National Government. Montgomery's first stop was the Governor-General's residence in Rideau Hall, where he met with His Excellency and the Prime Minister to discuss the new balance of power in Europe. Afterwards, Montgomery made a special address to the House of Commons, with the Governor-General and the Prime Minister in attendance. In his address, Montgomery emphasized the levels of devastation and poverty afflicting Europe and stressed that it was imperative for the Canadian government to launch a dramatic economic intervention program as soon as possible. Montgomery closed his address by succinctly stating that if we are to win peace in Europe, then we must wage war aggressively against poverty and starvation, lest we allow all of Europe to fall into the waiting hands of the Kaiser, or worse yet, a repeat of the events of 1925. So has that unlocked new things for you? Not yet, at least. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to turn off... we'll spend 50 points in... I'm at 17. Panther 27. So I think right now we're... I know, but then we also have the Americans as well, huh? So if we have just, like, one ideology... Because we're at 17... You're at 27. You are at, like, low 30s, I believe. Can I actually look at the explanation? Because we actually did not read this the first time. We're going to read it now. You can skip this if you want. The WWII Mandate is a product of agreement made at Cannon Point and compromise reached from a position on the brink of war. A true testament of the idea that nothing is as permanent as a temporary solution. When the Second American Civil War kicked off and the island chain was left largely adrift in the broader politics of the region, with majority of its politically minded either heading to the PSA with the vast majority of the Pacific Fleet or to find passage with their preferred combatants. Many attempts at domestic political action were smothered when the Japanese came, bringing their large fleets and troops to replace the recently departed Americans and add Hawaii to their empire. However, things would not turn in favor of the Japanese, as three things conspired to bring an end to their short-lived conquest. The first of these would be war with China, a costly and ultimately failed endeavor which brought resources and attention far away from the imperial state building in Hawaii. The second would be that the Hawaiians themselves, many of which were rather happy under American government, or at least happier, as the Americans did not rule them with an effective military junta, and only slightly concessions to the sizable American population, to say nothing of the native Hawaiians. The third issue was that the Japanese faced is one which, in hindsight, they reasonably should have expected: the old owners and their new Canadian friends. Okay. When the warships of Canada arrived in Hawaii alongside several vessels of the Pacific states, it was predicted by many of the citizens that the island chain that war would begin, and that they would be in the crosshairs. Or when word finally came from the occupation authorities as to the ultimate fate of which was going to happen, the news was different than nearly any had anticipated. The Japanese garrison would be stepping down. An agreement was being hashed out in secret by which the Japanese and two powers negotiated through Cordell Hull on behalf of the Pacific States, and it would set up a Hawaiian mandate, a government that would be entrusted to manage and govern Hawaii with the interests of all three powers at heart. Of course, such a leader of such a government would need to be an American to secure the support of the still largely American middle and upper classes, and Cordell Hull himself was put forward to such a position. The rest of the bureaucracy would be theoretically shared with the other powers, though de facto be primarily made up of Americans and Japanese, and a complex system of interest groups and government bureaus would handle the day-to-day affairs of Hawaii. A perfect system. In theory. Oh, geez. Okay, so this is now the actual explanation. Hawaii's mandate is a complex web of interconnected lobbying groups, formal organizations, and shadowy networks, all finding a way to advance their own interest. These groups can certainly be said to be the balancers of one another, though it is an unstated rule that each desires to invent their own power and influence with the chance to seize it. Mandate's government, controlled by Mandate Commissioner Gordon Hull, the Mandate's government is the closest thing to a neutral organization that exists in Hawaii. Though even that is a misnomer. Its staff and policing forces of the Mandate considerably are largely American, and it is far more easily swayed by American interests than that of any other. The Americans. The Americans broadly represent the interests of the pre-Mandate American population on the island of Hawaii, and as a result are split on a variety of issues. The main organization representing the Americans in the halls of commerce is the American Chamber of Commerce in Honolulu, an association of American businesses. However, labor unions and anti-mandate factions outside the radical fringe are also fairly pro-American, often led by Americans, with the Hawaiian Federation of Labor and the Hawaiian Liberation Front chief among them. Japanese are a newer group in Hawaii, though much of their influence stretches back several decades. The legal and upstanding side of the coin is the Hawaiian. It's yellow on like beige text. The Hoijin Shoko, it probably says actually here. Okay, so the Honolulu Japanese Chamber of Commerce. It says right there, a collection of Japanese businessmen and connections with mainland Japan in a symbiotic relationship. The less than legal side of the coin is the misleadingly named Honolulu Kokodatai, or the Honolulu Special Interest Organization, an underground network of criminal activity and smuggling led by a mix of fanatics and mainland shady dealers. The Canadians are the least influential of the big three, primarily focused on trade and market share rather than actual control of the island. Their share point of influence is the British Consulate in Honolulu, an organization of Canadian and broader Anglosphere experts who seek to advance both their cause and the cause of Britain, while making some money on the side. Simply because the global revolution has come to an end and gone does not mean, or the global revolution has come and gone, does not mean the revolutionary fervor is dead in Hawaii. The International Longshore and Warriors Union, a large labor union of sea workers, alongside more radical political cousins in the Hawaiian Socialist Party, seek to establish Hawaii far different from the vices of the other organizations. One where workers rule and a revolution brews in the background. Of course, politics and business can both be absolute cutthroats, and if things come to it, new alliances may be brokered or formed as necessary. Because in Hawaii, one rule is to look out for yourself. I'll spend another 50 points on that. We're at 18 points. We're actually the most influential individual group. But, you know, when you add these two together, and then you add these all together, I'm going to throw some more troops there. I'm willing to fight for Hawaii. Solid attack plus 10%. Honestly, I don't think we need it. At least not yet. I mean, it doesn't make everybody hate you. Not that opinion matters, like, at all. You know, actually, we'll take doctored output. Correct me if I'm wrong. Does opinion in Hoi 4 mean anything? Like, I believe, say, if you are playing the vanilla game, if people don't like you, they don't want to join your faction. They are less likely to accept military access. But when it comes to like more mods, Kaiserreich, Kalterkrieg, the New Order, opinion doesn't do too much. Because mostly everything's done by event or just by being in a faction. So I don't think it's actually like that important. 122, I mean that's still pretty good. Get more Japanese investment. 1 of the 4 will happen. Change popularity goes up by 2.5%. Debate on Bill 222 begins. Okay. Breaking out news out of Ottawa today. With mounting pressure from both the public and allies abroad, the Foreign Minister, Lester B. Pearson, Liberal government, has presented a new bill to the House of Commons. In this bill, Mr. Pearson has outlined an ambitious plan for the reorganization of the Imperial Economic Development Corporation to manage the allocation of economic and aid to our valiant allies in Europe. Unfortunately, the ongoing debates have revealed new divisions between the factions within the government and the opposition. The moderate and hardline loyalists and the Commonwealthists are divided on the issues of funding, repayment, and allocation of aid. while more conservative elements are in parliament have opposed the plan altogether. Most notable of all, however, is the split between a traditional Commonwealthist and a new international Ententist, whose the choices made in these debates will have repercussions for years to come. Okay, funding. One point of contention within Parliament is the amount of funding we should allocate towards European reconstruction. While a considerable amount of aid will be in the form of goods and food, the issue of financial aid remains. International MPs argue that the project of the scale needs to be as fully funded as possible in order to effectively jumpstart the economies of large sectors of Europe. More fiscally conservative MPs argue that it would be more prudent to keep financial aid to Europe at a reasonable minimum and focus on expanding our own industrial and military bases. Large amount of funding. Yeah, I mean, I do want to have our allies in Europe be strong. Right? Like, I think that makes sense. We'll do a large amount of funding. And also, hopefully, that'll include international spending here. If we can. I think that'll be nice for us. Support anti-socialist operations. That requires you to be more popular. And it doesn't actually make... It makes the base government more popular, but it doesn't actually make us more popular. Rally public support. We're going to turn you off because I don't care about it too much. You're new. Actually, wait. Was this in our Germany playthrough? Convoy escort. So you're like a completely separate thing. Okay. Or we have better carriers. What is our actual? What is our current naval makeup? That can't be our entire navy, right? No. Yeah, so combine you into one fleet. Combine you into one fleet. Where's Gray? Gray is in Europe. Honestly, I think that's fine. You're in Iceland, which I think is actually fairly reasonable. You're in Panama. And then you're a new fleet. And then you will combine with this fleet. But, is there a way I can just see all of my boats? Naval overview. Okay. We have 21 subs, 130 frigates, 7 carriers, 3 battleships, 27 cruisers. I mean, eventually we'll try to get all of these. Deck size goes up. Let's improve our carriers. I think I need to like just do a whole thing on learning how to do Navy stuff properly. Because like I'm assuming carriers are good, but I don't know how good they actually are. Repayments. Another issue has risen on the issue of repayments. A contentious debate has started on whether our financial aid should primarily be sent in the form of temporary loans or through generous grants. One conservative MP argues that it would be madness to show money and capital in Europe without a firm repayment plan. A Liberal MP responded sardonically that pushing for a repayment program at this time would be ridiculous, since there's no reliable conversion rate between a scorched earth and the Canadian dollar. Perhaps it would be wiser to tactfully encourage our friends in Europe to purchase from Canadian firms. We cannot throw money. We cannot put a price on a grateful ally or a new market. I think we're going to align more with the Liberals on this one. Unionist rally in Ontario. A rally for the Unionist Party was held in Ontario last night, drawing a large crowd of supporters. The party, which is known for its hardline stance on law and order, traditional values, and conservative economic policies, used the event to promote its platform and rally support. Party leader WWII Bennett gave a fiery speech to the crowd, calling for a return of traditional values and a crackdown on crime. He also praised the strong leadership of authoritarian regimes and vows to defend Canada's sovereignty against external threats. We must never stop fighting for a better future for our country, he said. We must never stop standing up for the values of conservatism and traditionalism. We must never stop working to build Canada that is strong, united, and prosperous for all. The rally was attended by a diverse group of supporters, many of whom held signs and banners with slogans such as law and order. The event ended with a performance from a local musician who led the crowd in a sing-along of party anthems. The rally was seen as a success for the Unionist Party, which has struggled to attract large crowds in the past. So, the Unionists, which I don't believe was... That's not a real party. It wasn't a real party in real life. But presumably they split off. They're also conservatives. Okay, so... social conservatives, natural government... So John Diefenbaker will have the conservatives in the future. The Bennett is the... Okay, I see. That's for the 1953 election. That's still a while from now. We might go conservative. Like again, we don't play market liberal that much. But how often do we? I still need to do the thing where I look through all of my campaigns and find out what ideology I settled on. Maybe I'll do that like a little stream, little hangout stream, and be like, let's find out who I actually play all the time. Bill C-22 recipients. While obviously our aid mainly is focused on our friends in the Entente, some international elements of Parliament have raised the notion of also inviting countries that remained unaligned during the Second WWII to reconstruction discussions. The internationals argued that this would place those unaligned nations in our sphere of influence and endear ourselves to people as the Kalterkrieg marches on. I think we should also expand. I have a feeling we're overextending ourselves, but that's okay. Also, let's add in some admirals here. Is there like a hockey for this? No. Do we have enough admirals? Okay, they gave us actually exactly enough admirals. I appreciate that. I appreciate when the game and the designers have given me exactly the number of things that I need to succeed. Do I actually just start preparing a naval invasion with these units? Okay, Bill C-22 is passed. Exciting news out of Parliament today. Bill C-22 was approved by both the House of Commons and the Senate, and it's currently awaiting royal assent from the Governor General. With a framework in place for the reformed Crown Corporation and a clear mandate from Parliament, this reconstruction project is shaping up to be one of the largest foreign investment missions in history. Already invitations are being sent out for the Congress of European Recovery in Lisbon, with considerable bipartisan support from the House of Commons. The task now falls on the European nations to organize and present their national recovery programs. Some of the issues expected to be brought up are the issues of free trade, liberalism, and French unification. The media has also begun calling for this ambitious and unprecedented plan the Montgomery Plan, after the man who inspired it, Field Marshal Montgomery himself. Excellent. So this is essentially just the Marshall Plan. And, okay, there we go. Montgomery Plan. What does this cost us? 180 days, 10% consumer goods. We have 150 political power. Okay, so we have 17 days to be ready to go. Is there any of these I'd want first? I don't think so. Delivery conscription is fine. Parliamentary democracy we can't do anything about. Mobilization is also good. Open borders is fine. What does this actually do for us? Population plus 40%, stability minus 10. And presumably this is what we chose for our, because we did invite the world. So what did we start off with? Probably light restrictions would be my guess. Maybe merit base is what you get if you choose for the, if you choose the, except the Anglosphere, but it doesn't actually say here, so I'm not too sure. I'd have to go back and actually check. But anyways, the 150 political power means we can do 3 of these things. Let us invest in... Here's the thing. Do I want to invest in Britain first? They demobilized. Iceland. I mean, we don't want to go Iceland first. They get 4 civilian factories. You get 2 civilian factories into infrastructure. And these all cost the same. So I think we want to do... Like, who's more likely to help us out first? Because here's the thing. Like, oh, you can do Greece, which we'll do eventually, yes. But that's 2 civilian factories as opposed to getting, 4. Or going for another 4 there. Or getting anti-aircraft guns. Or some military factories as well. So I would probably prefer, first we'll do invest in French air industry. A civilian factory, 1 military factory. And then let's build up French agriculture. We're giving France a lot of money here. And then we'll probably, we'll do civilian industry in the United Kingdom. We'll get all these ones going. I don't know how that's going to affect international spending. Okay, Montgomery Plan has passed. We are happy to see it. 1950 is a little expensive. Do we have naval invasion tech? I just want to check that one out. Yes. But it'd be ahead of time to do anything else beyond that. You're all 51, but we can go for the 48 construction. Do we have a research group? I'm not sure. Liberal Party. Again, we are in the Entente. So maybe? Let's take a look at our research. Because we had a bonus on you, but that might have just because of an extra thing we have. 5% technology sharing. Okay, yes, the Accord Research Program, which I don't know how I see who's in it. I'm assuming just anybody that's in the Entente will be in our research group. But does that mean that France has flamethrowers? Different ideology. Frangipani, different ideology. But they like us because we've given them money. Which, I mean, fair. Every fun I've ever had in my actual life, I've just given them like $1,000 and be like, will you be my friend for $1,000? And they say yes, for sure. It's worked every single time. I know it's crazy. Let's approve the NATO plan. Look at that going as well. If you want to be my friend, I'll give you $1,000 as long as you subscribe and hit the like button. But for now, this is gonna be a good time for the end of this episode. So if you enjoyed, remember a thumbs up. Not enjoying, hit a thumbs down. You want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.